So in this video, I want to talk about how to do a regression using conversation hypnosis or advanced conversation hypnosis. I got this question quite recently and I wanted to answer it as a group for you guys to watch instead of just that individual because it's quite simple. And if you watched any of my videos, it's more about what you don't do than what you do to get a really good regression. So for those who aren't familiar with, or maybe they just need a quick recap, I took this from Google to give a good understanding. It's a pretty good understanding of what a hypnotic regression therapy is. So during hypnotic regression, a therapist might use imagery, exploration of physical sensations, and storytelling to guide their patient to the past. Once a difficult memory is found, emotions that had remained buried could come to the surface to be released. Sounds good in theory, okay? But as a therapist, there's one massive problem with this. And I'll give you a quick moment just to go through that sentence again. Can you find it, or do you already foresee what I'm about to show you is the main problem here? If you've been watching my work, it should be pretty obvious by now. So during the hypnotic regression, a therapist might use imagery, exploration of physical sensation, storytelling to guide their patient through the past. What's the problem? Well, it's in this first sentence. A therapist might use. Okay, this infers that the therapist is doing something. They are trying to force a regression on their clients. Now, if you only watch this part of the video, you probably heard me say this a million times, you are far above the rest. Therapists go into sessions with the timeline in one pocket, regression in the other pocket, and they think they can solve the entire world's problem with these two things. But the problem exists that if you go into a session knowing what you're about to do, what you're going to use, you will screw everything up. Why? Because forced regressions are hit and miss. More miss than hit. And I'll explain why that is. I don't just want to throw it out. It's just not my opinion. I'm going to show you how this works. And you've been told this indirectly by your trainers, by other courses you've done, but then the application doesn't show that. It's like the trainer on stage saying all problems exist. Clients want to quit smoking, but we also know that the problem is in the unconscious mind, but here's a stop smoking script to solve it. It's backwards thinking, okay? It's sort of watch what I say, not what I do type thing, okay? So hypnotic regression, and therapists might use imagery, okay? We do not want to be forcing our clients through anything. Why? Because of these things. Forcing regressions on a client is you going and saying that a regression will solve a problem. I always think of this. What if my client does not need a regression? If you've been taught that all clients need regressions, you need to go do another training and get your money back because that is absolute bullshit. A trainer can never say what your clients will need, not only because they're not in front of them, but because it's not a one size fits all. This therapy thing at one size fits all with techniques is absolutely ridiculous. And you guys know this in your own sessions because it's taken so goddamn long to solve a client's problem. The multiple sessions, the audios, the homework. Why do I need multiple sessions, audios, and homework if I can figure out what the root cause is, or what we call the unconscious payoff is? Why can't I solve it just in that session? It's been done before by some of the best therapists in the world, but then other therapists have come along, other trainers have come along and say, you need to do multiple because of X, Y, and Z. You need. And again, it's all just guessing. So forcing regressions on a client is not how you do a regression using conversation hypnosis. Forcing a regression on clients or doing a regression or any technique is trying to solve the problem. You go in with a technique saying, I'm going to help you quit smoking with a regression. You're now trying to solve the problem. Instead of understanding the problem, that the unconscious mind do what it's supposed to do, which is solve your problems for you. That's what the unconscious mind is set there to do if it deems it necessary. If you look at the last video, we talked about unconscious payoff, and this will tie into this video as well. So if you go in forcing regression, you're now trying to solve the problem, and you're now forcing a client into a corner. It's like you're trying to fix their arm when their leg's broken, okay? So the job of the unconscious mind is to solve problems, guys, not the therapist. And if you use a regression, you're indirectly trying to solve the problem. It is not one size fits all. If it was one size fits all, you're now saying that every human on the face of this earth has the same unconscious payoff and root cause for their problem, thus it can be solved the same way. And I don't know about you, but I'm extremely different than every other person on the face of this earth. The reason I have problems is extremely different than everybody who has the same problem as me. It is not one size fits all. And you know you're trying to fit your square client into a circle hole is because, again, you've got to do multiple of the same things. Now, this whole thing of if you just keep repeating the same thing, repetition, that'll help the unconscious mind. No, you can keep doing the wrong thing over and over. It won't make it right. It'll just get worse and worse and worse. Okay. Next, assuming clients need to see images or sensations. Most of the lawyers I work with, again, most of them didn't even close their eyes if you want to get to that extent, but didn't see images, didn't really have sensations. We could do it through conversation. We can untie the knots. Now, were there clients of mine, and we've done this even in our ACH demo trainings that we do, were there clients that fell into a spontaneous regression? Absolutely. Did some float above their timeline? Absolutely. Does some people feel something? Absolutely. But that's the key thing here that I'm going to get to in the last point. What if a client cannot visualize or feel sensations? See a lot of therapists, especially in Facebook groups, and they say, well, my client can't visualize. What do I do next? And the usual answer is yes, they can. You've just got to, describe it better. This is, again, you're forcing. I can't visualize anything, and I'm really not good at feeling sensations. When I have problems, I know my thinking gets all muddled up. It gets tangled and tied up. And I know if I have someone untie those things, my thinking is a lot clearer. That's what I like. That's the type of therapy that suits me. Person next to me might love visualization, might need to feel sensations, but not everybody is the same. So if your client can't visualize, trying to force them to or saying, well, it's their fault, wrong approach to have as a therapist. So how do you do a regression, or how do you use a regression with conversation hypnosis? Just realize one thing, guys. Do you have to learn the steps? No. Do they need 3 scenes? No. Do they have to be reframed or hugged around a child? No. Do they have to be relaxed to get it, to have a regression? Hell no. You don't have to do any of those things. Right now, what I'm about to get, what I'm about to teach you in one sentence will stop you ever having to worry about drilling techniques and steps into your brain. It is this: wait for these things to arise naturally and let your client use their regressions the way they want to. Do not force scenes, feelings, understanding, reframes, or anything. So what am I saying here? If your client spontaneously falls into a regression, all you need to do now, let them sit in it, let them do whatever they want, and make sure they're safe. I don't have to ask about scenes, what they're feeling, what they're noticing, none of that, because I will interrupt it. Do you think, and ask yourself this, guys, do you think your client's unconscious mind knows more about how to do a regression than you do? It will show the client what it needs to show. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to reframe it. The unconscious mind will do all of that. It is way more intelligent than you ever will be, no matter how many certifications you have on your wall. You know nothing about your client compared to what the unconscious mind knows. Okay? So if my client spontaneously falls into a timeline, let them go. If they spontaneously want to fall into a relaxation trance with their eyes closed and they drool on themselves, fine, let them go. The only thing you need to do is keep them safe. And again, you've got to learn how to do the whole safety thing, but I don't have to guide them. I don't care about what they see. I don't care about what it means to them. I don't have to understand. All I want to make sure is they're safe and are they getting something from it? That's it. Realize this, to take it one step further, guys. What if just sitting in this regression space, not seeing anything, not doing, and just being in this place where nothing happening is what they need? There you go. Start talking and asking about scenes and forcing things because it has to be 3 scenes. It has to be this, has to be that. You will now interfere with what is happening in front of you, which is the unconscious mind possibly healing your client. Okay. So gone are the days, guys, you need to go to another course to learn another timeline, another regression, another visualization, another relaxation, another tool, another tactic. No, these are principles. If my client falls into these things spontaneously, regardless what the problem they come in with, I let them go. I don't care what they do as long as they're safe. Think about that, guys, for you as a therapist. Think about the pressure that gets taken of you having to solve anything, or remember this step 1, step 2, step 3 type thing. Never, ever again, guys. So it should make your job a hell of a lot easier. Okay, so that's how we do a regression using conversation hypnosis. That's how we do a timeline. That's how we do visualization. That's how we do shadow work. That's how we do an age regression. That's how we do a past life regression. Whatever you want to call it, that's how we do it. It's the same principle, regardless of what a client needs. We just wait for them to spontaneously fall into it and then wait for them to come out the other side. Okay, so guys, hopefully that was informative. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.